Christian, Bailey, not gonna lie, I loved the episode. Don't get me wrong, but we got a couple of things we need to talk about, and let's just say suspension of disbelief is going to be in effect a little bit for this one. But let's get into this. All right, we are back for episode 4 of Obi-Wan Kenobi and our subsequent Obi-Wan Kenobi breakdown show. I got Christian, I got Bailey, and we are going to have a lot of fun talking about this episode, I think. But before I get going, Bailey, how are you doing, ma'am? It's good to see you.
I am doing well. Arizona's Mustafar right now outside. So it could be better, but I'm here.
What, 112? That's not, yeah, that's not, you're not comfortable in that? I don't understand.
No, I hate it here.
Just kill me now. I know. Christian, I love you, brother, and I'm going to ask you how you're doing. But if you tell me what the temperature is over there, I'm going to kick you from the stream. Just so you know. How's it going?
I don't know what the temperature is here at the moment, but I'm comfortable, if not a little warm. But yeah, aside from that, I'm good. I'm Bailey, excited to talk about this episode.
He's a little warm, Bailey. Oh man, Christian, if I had a teleportation machine. But anyway, all right, we are back at it again. It seemed like forever since the last episode because we got so many jammed together at the beginning there. It was really cool. But by the time it got here, I was really excited when I learned a new term. When you pull it up on Disney Plus, my buddy Casey, who's in the film industry, explained that picture that you see up top is called a bug, a B-U-G, a bug. So now you guys know. And this little thing up in the corner next to Bailey's head that I have up there, that's also called a bug. I'm learning the terminology, you guys, just so you know. Yeah, you two could not look more bored. Okay, we'll move on. All right. Let's say some highs in chat here. It's not really hopping yet, so we'll probably be able to get through this quick, and then we'll get into this episode. What do you think, Bailey?
Let's do it.
All right. So Tyler Denerd at 4 p.m. Arizona time, which was yesterday, dropped in to say hi. So if he's still here, hi. Hey. We got G-Force. Good to see you, brother. And then Hoppy's Creations evening all. Someone would be after a new, but yeah, I know, we're going to get to that there, Hoppy, for sure. Jonathan Redmond, always a regular. Hey, Paul, Bailey. Great G model, Christian. Never going to live it down. Never going to live it down, Christian. Yep. Hey, Rolando. It's good to see you, man.
Rolando.
Oh, here's a name that is fairly new to me. Evan Gregoire. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate it. All right. Everybody's saying hi to everybody, and that's a good thing. So we're just going to kind of jump right into this one. Got a lot to talk about. Christian, you ready for this?
Yeah, very much so.
All right, let's do this. So when we left last time, they had rescued Obi-Wan Kenobi, and we already talked about some of the suspension of disbelief on that one or why that may have occurred. And we start off right off the bat. Christian, I'm going to start with you on this one because I have a question for you. We're doing the back to tanks of competition, I guess is the best way to put it, because we got him and we got Vader. What did you think of what's going on here, and what did this remind you of?
I thought this was great because first off, obviously, we had those initial shots that was all sort of disorientating, where Kenobi's on the ship and he's sort of coming in and out of consciousness, and you see Tala sort of fretting, and the droid, I forget his name, Ned. You see him sort of looking over him, and then there's these few shots that felt incredibly sort of reminiscent of war films, carrying someone on a stretcher and all that sort of stuff. And I swear at one point I heard helicopter blades, which was probably just a sound effect that they put in there to give that sense. But it felt very sort of bang, we're into this, and they got him into that back to tank quickly, which felt like the right thing to do. I was really nervous as he went in that we were going to get all these sort of flashbacks like we did with Book of Boba, but this is exactly how flashbacks should be done. Snippets, single images that are flashing, that sort of stuff. Keep it interesting, keep it fast paced, and then of course sort of transitioning between seeing Kenobi in the tank and seeing Darth Vader in the tank. And they really went to town on showing the similarities and mirroring it. We see the face masks, we see the hand, you know, all this sort of stuff. There are all these sort of nods to one another, showing that they're both going through things, just obviously different perspectives.
Yeah, the compare and contrast again. And Christian, while I've got you on this topic, you used a word earlier. I'm currently in a bet with another gentleman who has a podcast by the name of Andy. Does this count as flashbacks? Yes or no?
Second confirmation of flashbacks. Yeah, so I think that's two hats.
Thank you, arbiter of facts. I appreciate that. All right, let's go over to Bailey. And at some point, we'll answer this question too. But Bailey, when we started off like this, where was your headspace at, girl?
Well, I'm enjoying the compare and contrast. Honestly, it makes sense, and it's pretty poetic to see the differences between the two. And it's, you know, Christian just put it beautifully. You know, they're both going through their own thing. Vader being in the Bacta makes sense to me because from what I understand from the books and whatnot, is he has to be in there a lot for maintenance. Like his skin is constantly eroding away, so he has to be in the Bacta quite a bit for maintenance. And the fluids, you know, it's not like he can like go to the bathroom or eat normally anymore. So he does have to be in there quite a bit. So it made sense to me that he would be in it, even though he's not injured. He just needs it for maintenance. But, you know, clearly he's, you know, I bet, you know, that just is to show that he's pretty upset with how things went, you know, like, you know, like he was pathetic. He didn't get what he wanted. So it made sense to me to have the both in the Bacta. You know, Vader needs it for maintenance where Obi-Wan is, you know, injured. So I thought it made sense. It made sense, and I'm enjoying it.
Very well put. I agree with you. That's the impression I got as well. Jonathan, to answer your question really fast, that's the wrong one. Jonathan, there we go. Paul of the series shirts, but is that black or really, really dark gray? These are black. Christian's is what we call gray noir, so it would fit his personality better. Love you, Christian. Hey, Rick, it's always good to see you, man. What fun would it be if we didn't argue with Rick about something in one of these streams, right, you guys? Bailey, I'd like to stick with you, ma'am. So you know me, when we first started off, I was a little equivocal about the character of Reva, but man, has she come into her own in this one. What are you thinking about her evil, sinister portrayal now and what's going on with her?
Oh, I just love her more and more. Like, she is so intelligent. And again, she's just getting stuff done more and more each episode. And that's what just makes it, to me, and we'll probably get into it later, I am so done with, like, the fifth brother being like, like, you know, like, Reva, you know, we got to shut the place down. It's her fault. But Reva is, like, interrogating Leia pretty well. I mean, we know Leia holds up her own, but, like, you know, she's really, like, getting into this little girl's head. And, you know, she does something else later in the episode that's just genius. So I'm enjoying her more and more. And this is exactly how I think an Inquisitor should be, is someone who, like, is, like, mean and, you know, gets in your face and intimidating, not this Scooby-Doo crap they do with the other one, you know. I love her.
Yeah, nice. Christian, she's doing a much better job, and to watch her interact with the actress, even though I know it's fantasy and they're just acting together, it actually bothers me just a little bit the way she's, you know, torturing this little girl. What are you getting out of this, man?
100% agree. I mean, just prior to this, obviously, Reva isn't in the room, and Leia's sat there, and the two stormtroopers are either side. And she's like, I am the queen of Alderaan. And she commands that scene. I mean, she's this little girl, and there's these two stormtroopers either side armed. And you're looking at her, and she is fully believing what she's saying. Like, I thought it was brilliant. And then, of course, Reva comes in. Now, in our first episode of discussing this, the first breakdown, I sort of said that I wanted to like the character, but there was something that wasn't sitting right with me, and I kept feeling like she was almost like flipping, and I couldn't work out if that was poor acting or poor writing or whatever. I feel like this episode for me has completely solidified all of that, because I've learned that I believe that she previously performed with Denzel Washington. And I don't know about you guys, I believe that that's the case, but I don't know about you guys, but sitting and watching this scene, I could see Alonso in Training Day in the way that he flips from, like, talking nicely and smiling and whispering almost, you know, and then suddenly, you know, the face changes, the back goes up, she starts barking. it really gave me that sense, and she felt frightening, you know. And yet I'll talk about it later, but I feel like we see a lot of different sides to Reva in this episode. And yeah, to answer your question, she's great in my opinion. Like, I'm excited to see more. I'm excited to see where this is going.
Yeah, I hate her, like the character, but I'm Team Reva now. I total flip that first 2 episodes. I was like, oh man, but man, is she really coming to her own? Really quick, I think this is Gianni. There's 2 of them that use this. So if it's not Gianni, I apologize. But there's Red 5 Designs. Yeah, good to see you. Andy, speak of the devil, Christian, and he shall appear.
This is it. He's avoided the last 2 episodes, hasn't he?
Yeah. Andy, according to Christian, I won the bet. However, I'll let you decide if you agree with that because I'm still a gentleman. Let's come on down. If we had flashbacks, let's come on down here. Oh, they jumped quicker. Let's see here. Does the sister know Leia has force abilities? How could she not write? So, Andy, we're going to get into a lot of this in this episode because there's a lot of suspension of disbelief because I asked these 2. He's sitting there with Vader's daughter, or she's sitting there with Vader's daughter. It doesn't recognize it. Oh, let's see. Jonathan. So Jonathan gave this a 6, if you guys remember. Reva was growing on me, but she was dumb as a box of rocks this episode. Why would Leia know anything about the escape path? Reva literally had her kidnapped. Yeah, Leia is also 10. Yeah, WTF. Jonathan, you know what? We not made 100% agree with you, but you're not wrong. You guys have a response to that, or am I about right on?
No, I completely agree. But as far as the escape path or the path, whatever they refer to it as, I wrote down, I don't think that Reva thinks that Leia knows anything about the path. I think that Reva is just playing along at this point.
Oh, Bailey?
Yeah, I agree with Christian. Like, I think she says a lot of things. She does talk a lot of talk, and I think she says things that she doesn't mean, depending on the situation. And we see that a lot in this episode.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, the flip side to that, of course, is Evan really liked Reva in the last episode. But what do you think about the Grand Inquisitor? We know Rebels takes place. I think he's not dead. We talked about this before, and they just sorted him in one stomach to get him out of the way for the bait and switch that we've been getting this entire show, because we thought we was going to be the Grand Inquisitor and Luke, and it's been Leia and Reva, which has been awesome. Oh, he said that's helpful. Thanks. It's the one whose name begins with G. Thanks, Gianni Egg, I guess. There's my fellow helmet collector, Simon. I'm really enjoying Kenobi, regardless of the continuity holes from the original. Was disappointed not to see Scrambled TIE Fighters. We talked about this, Christian, before we came on in the Speeder Tech. Was a great episode. Absolutely. Oh, man. Okay. So as we do every time, we fanboy over 2 people. One of them is my buddy Artisher, and the other one is over this actress, Bailey. Her performance against Reva's is stuff of legends. What are you thinking here, girl?
Oh, I love her. And again, she's just reinforcing that this is Princess Leia. And I really wish we had Carrie Fisher still with us to commentate on what she's doing. But this just reminded me so much of how she was in A New Hope. Like, you know, I am a princess. And, you know, like one of the first things that comes out of her mouth in A New Hope is, I am a senator of the Imperial Senate. Like, you know, she's just like her, and she really does like capture her attention, and she's the star of it. She definitely rules the scene, even with Reva in the room. She's great.
I know that. Yeah,
fantastic. She's got a future for sure.
Yeah, what's to say? She's great. I like the way you put that. You're like, you know what? What am I going to say? She's great. Every time she's supposed to look scared, she convinces me, and every time she's supposed to look badass, she convinces me. So. Christian, let's go over to you. So we're seeing the initial stages of the interrogation scene with Reva, and then we go back to where, not Boba Fett, Obi-Wan. I want to say, man, I got to get up earlier before these streams. Anyway, we go back to the planet where Obi-Wan is. He jumps out of the back to take because he's like, Leia, and he starts talking to some of the rebels, and we get, who's this guy, Christian?
Well, he's from Straight Outta Compton, NWA. Sorry. It's the son. Ice son. But
he looks just like him.
He plays Ice Cube in Straight Outta Compton, to be fair. I think this guy's a great actor. And I was really pleased to see him on screen in this because he carries so much weight. And also, I really like the way that he looks in this. Like, you know, we were critiquing Book of Boba Fett in the costumes of that gang that we came across. this is how you do Star Wars. Like, you know, I'm not looking at his outfit and thinking, I can go down to Primark, or you can pop into Target or wherever. It looks believable, and the environment looked weathered and realistic. And I mean, my only criticism of him was how quickly he went from "this isn't my problem" to "if you need my help, you've got me," sort of thing. I felt like that happened very quickly. However, we did get that pause where he thought about his wife. So, you know, I think we can allow him to change his mind. But yeah, I thought this was great, and I was excited. This had a very sort of Hoth type vibe, you know, with all this movement going on around them. And even though it's not a military base, they're not soldiers, it all felt like that, you know. Even those pipes on the wall in the background, that looks like Echo Base.
Yeah, that was a good point. That's the thing I got out of it too. He kind of switched. It was a little bit of an abrupt change, but, you know, like I said, suspension of disbelief on this episode goes a long way. Bailey, did you know who this was, and what'd you get out of this?
No, I didn't. Honestly, and again, and that's why I like being on here, is because you guys will tell me if I missed something. But I just have to say, one thing that this show has done such a good job of that I have not felt in both like the Star Wars books or previous shows we've gotten is they make me care about these people that you don't really know a whole lot. And I mean, I really, this episode, like, and we'll get into it later what happens, but I really felt for these people that I only know for like a few minutes. So yeah, I did enjoy them a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So really quick, Evan wants to follow up here. So a little follow up on my last question. Do you think we'll see him as in the Grand Inquisitor again this series? Maybe in the finale where he gets revenge on Reva. Bailey, let's stick with you. Do you have a prediction you'd like to offer on that, or do you have any idea?
Maybe at the very end, but I think it's, you know, we're 4 episodes in and he was taken off fairly early. I don't think if we see him, it's going to be at the end. Clearly, he is not the focus here. It's going to be Reva. So I don't know, maybe. But again, it's strange because, like, yeah, I'm going in with not predicting a whole lot, but I think he might show up again. I feel like he has to explain Rebels. But yeah, maybe at the very end.
You know, Christian, Bailey makes a good point. We got 2 episodes left. We got to have one more lightsaber duel, I'm hoping. Got a lot of stuff to jam in. Do we bother with the Grand Inquisitor, or what's up?
We do have a lot to get crammed into 2 episodes. However, I don't know if it's happened since our last breakdown, but it has been confirmed supposedly that there is a 2nd season of this coming. I don't know if that's the first that you guys have heard this, but I've heard a lot of people saying it. I haven't checked that, but I wasn't aware of it until the other day. Jonathan Redmond took the mick out of me. But yeah, apparently there is a 2nd season coming. Now, my question is, was that always planned? Because if it wasn't always planned, then I'm a little bit sort of worried about how they end this season and then how they continue it, whilst also being considerate to where we're going. So in answer to the question, yes, I think we're going to see the Grand Inquisitor again. It's just I don't know how much of it we're going to see, or if they're going to hint at it for like a 2nd season.
Yeah, those are all good points. I'd heard that I think Ewan McGregor actually said it at Celebration. He let it slip. There was supposed to be a 2nd season, but people were saying he was just messing around and stuff. I'll be interested to see. So,
right.
Dave over at VTR. It's good to see you, man. I love doing this during the English time frame, for a better way to put it, Christian, because then we get to see some new faces.
Struggling with the words there.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love, you know, that's a good point. Rick makes a good point. Ice Cube Jr. called Kenobi General, which gave you an idea of where his headspace was at. And of course, yeah, that's Ice Cube's boy. And, you know, Rick, oh my goodness, it jumped off. Rick, yeah, there's obviously some history here. Oh, yeah. You know what? I did notice this too. JT, was it me, or have the last 2 episodes been really dark? Not story wise. I mean, just difficult to see from a cinematography perspective, Christian, because I know you have some perspective on that, or some history with that. Christian, is this on purpose, or are they deliberately making them dark? What are you thinking about that?
I think certainly some scenes specifically have been intentionally dark because of the subject matter. And also because lightsabers look cool in the dark. But yeah, I do think it's intentional.
Bailey, is it bothering you that some of these are so dark? Because one of my criticisms of Solo was they used the dark a little too much, and I couldn't see what was going on.
Yeah. I think it makes sense for this show, you know, for the reasons that Christian stated above with the lightsabers and whatnot. But in Solo, I was like, okay, these people aren't having glow sticks or anything. I need to see what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, that's my biggest critique of that movie is it's so dark. I don't know what's going on.
Kristen, she called them glow sticks. They got glow. Nobody got no glow sticks.
Are they
I love
not
it.
glow sticks?
No,
I use them for.
I love it. I love that you can. Yeah, they use them for light. Really quick, there's Unit Fam just dropping by to say hi. Unit Fam always takes care of us. Andy makes a good point. It would be very Vader-like for him to use Reva for a specific purpose and then dispatch her unceremoniously in favor of the Grand Inquisitor. Ain't that the truth, right? And then finally, Peter McKinnon, one of my channel members. Hey there, peoples. Are you talking about Star Wars program? Yeah, nah, we're talking about the new Miss Marvel. Let's get on down here. Okay, yeah, and people are talking about a spinoff. Well, mostly Rick because he's a conspiracy theorist of the positive kind, so we'll see. I got a kick out of this. I just wanted to show it really fast because we got another of the 3D holo maps, which I always think are really cool, Christian.
100%, yeah, I love it. It's such a sort of a nod back. It's cool because it's a very clever and easy way of sort of not only giving us new technology in the way of CGI, but also sort of knocking back to how things were done back then and that sort of technology. I love that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay, Jonathan's off the chain today. Christian, that's an outrageous fib. Okay, it's true, but I did it in the nicest possible way. You guys will have to fill me in later on that. And then he's like, a second season, my socks are rolling up and down my legs with excitement. That was pretty bad. That was pretty bad, wasn't it? Yeah, I know. Yeah. All right. I'm not supposed to use accents, Bailey. I did it anyway, though.
You're such a dad.
Yeah, I know. But now that we're sticking with Bailey, we're headed out to go on this suicide mission, and he's having problems using the Force. Explain to me why this is and what's going on here, Bailey. You're the Jedi expert.
Oh, first and foremost, I just really like how believable this progression of Obi-Wan coming back into his own is. Like, I wouldn't want him to immediately, you know, be back to where he was before things went down. But I think a lot of it has to do with what Tala was saying, you know, afterwards. Is like, you know, you're going to have to let things go a little bit. You know, not all of your injuries are physical. You have clearly some deep emotional scars. And I think that's what's impacting him to use the Force. Because when you use the Force, I mean, it is like letting go. Like, you kind of have to let go of, you know, your anxiety, your you know, everything. And which is good because that's what he preaches to Luke, you know, in A New Hope is you need to let go. You know, just let go, you know, a Jedi can feel the Force like flowing through him. So I think that's the problem here is maybe Obi-Wan is overthinking it, or maybe he's just so stressed about, he's in his own head about Vader and getting Leia back that it's like getting in the way of him using his power. And that's why we're seeing that struggle. And then immediately Tala's like, you know, do you care about Leia? You know, if so, you're going to have to like, you know, get your shit together type thing. So I think that's it. Like he needs to let go a little bit more so that he can be who he was.
That's an excellent way to put that, Bailey. It's like every time I talk to you guys, it's like I kind of know something in my head, but I can't articulate it. And then you guys explain it so well. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Really quick, Christian. There's America's Most Wanted. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us today, man. Christian, I'm gonna go up to you because I'd like some quick comments about this slide as well. But Gianni Egg, Gregor Gianni. Off subject, but Christian, is that your awesome artwork hanging behind you? And of course, we know the answer. Christian, you want to gush for a little bit?
Yeah, it is. Thanks, Gianni. It's we've got favorite films, favorite cartoons, and then favorite TV series. Probably can't really make it out too well, to be fair, but like at the very bottom here, you've got Atlanta, and then you've got Stranger Things. You've got all sorts going on. But yeah, and Saving Private Ryan just in the corner there. But yeah, that's a whole different thing. But yeah, appreciate the comment. But yeah, it's nice because Bailey, you just put that in such a beautiful and elegant way. And when I was watching this shot and he was sort of just struggling to move that, all I was thinking was if this show was made in the 80s, we would have had a montage. We would have had him running through like tires. He would have been running up steps. He would have been pounding on meat. He would have been slow punching the air, you know.
Right.
But yeah, it was a nice touch. We're seeing that he is sat there and he is trying to regain control of himself.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, you know, I got to do it. It's the eye of the tiger. It's the thrill of the fight rising up. too soon? Okay, I'm done. You look at Bailey's face. She looks like she's gonna vomit. She's like, "Will you please stop, Paul?" Oh my God, Christian, the whole world. This is Andy's in America. The whole world's in on it now. You know what? It's not just a your time zone Greenwich Mean thing over there. It's everybody now.
Ridiculous. And he even wore gray shorts to Star Wars Celebration and thankful.
Right? G-Force, thanks for dropping by really fast, man. I greatly appreciate it. Oh my God, the gray pants thing is just going to get to me here. Christian, I'd like to start with you, and then we'll go over to Bailey afterwards. So we had made some conjecturization. Actually, Christian, you had, and Bailey and I agreed that it was actually pretty brilliant. But this time she's holding the symbol from the safe room and acting like something different had happened in her past. Can you kind of explain what you thought was going on here and what if you want to revise a little bit of her past history's predictions, I guess?
So obviously last week I sort of dropped my thoughts that potentially she carved that symbol into the wall within that cave, and that's obviously also how I believe that she knew that she could circumnavigate the actual cave itself and beat Leia to the end.
Wait, hold on. Bailey, circumnavigate. That's what happens when you get smart people in the chat, right? Sorry, Christian, go.
What a way to knock me off, Paul.
I'm sorry. I love that word. God. I'm a little giddy this morning. Sorry. Circumnavigate. That's her way around. Maybe she
did you have a good drink last night by any chance?
I haven't had anything to drink since Saturday, believe it or not. Maybe that's why I'm on my game. And maybe this monster is a little too hyper. I don't know.
Now, I still feel like there's a chance that that's the case. In this episode, we get a lot of interesting dialogue from Reva. Now, obviously, she slams that thing down onto the table. Initially, I thought to myself, okay, well, clearly she didn't carve this thing, because if she did, she would have potentially shown it a little more respect.
Right.
I actually don't think that's the case. I think that potentially it almost reinforces the fact that she did carve that. She's holding something that meant so much to her previously, and look what it means now. And she is slamming it down because she doesn't care about it anymore. In fact, she hates it.
Oh.
In this particular scene, some of the dialogue is interesting. She talks about the fact that she lost everything. She talks about the fact that she lost her droid. There's all these parallels that are just shouting that she was a Padawan, or at least, someone that was Force sensitive, perhaps, or related to someone that was. So there's all this going on, and I actually think there were quite a few moments in this where she loses control of herself. Of course, there's the one end where's the rage, and you see her sort of lean in with her hand, and she has to stop herself. That was brilliant acting, because you really felt like, oh Christ, she's going to hit her. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then on the other end, I saw quite an emotional side to her in places, even more so when we get to the sort of torture chair, or whatever you call it. She almost looks like she's going to break into tears. I believe that she is desperately trying to get Leia to say something, because she legitimately cares for Leia, believe it or not. I might be completely wrong here. I might be completely wrong. But I think that she sees Leia almost as a bit of a parallel to herself. And she is pleading for Leia to give her what she needs, because she knows she's going to have to do something terrible otherwise.
Wow, Christian, you just added like 47 layers to that scene for me. Bailey, what you got after that? Is he crazy, or are you getting any of this? What did you get?
No, I'm kind of tag teaming him. I thought Reba was projecting a lot in this scene, and that's exactly what she's doing. Is I think she sees herself in Leia, and her her slamming down the symbol, and she took that symbol for a reason. That is clearly it. Really. That is something maybe she didn't want to see ever again, because it causes too many feelings inside. But now here we are, and I think she's just kind of using Leia as a punching bag. Like, she's venting a little bit, and then she remembers, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be interrogating this girl. But then she's like, let's talk about me for a second. So I think Reva is just projecting, and I think she it's kind of like, when you hate yourself and you just see someone that's so good. Like, I think maybe Leia is like a mirror to what she was like as a kid, because I still think she was one of those younglings in the very beginning shot. She probably sees herself and she hates that because she hates herself. So therefore, that's why we're getting such a heated and angry response from her. And I think Christian's right. I don't think she wants to do this to Leia, but she she also has, she's a very torn and conflicted individual, and we're seeing that a lot here. So yeah, this is absolutely an adult projecting their own issues onto a child here.
You two are brilliant. Wow. I knew this scene was, pretty in depth, but you guys have both added, like, it's like the biggest onion ever. There's all kinds of layers. Good. That's good stuff, you guys. Thank you. Peter has a question that I think actually is a valid question. What do you guys reckon? There's a famous actor in that Stormtrooper costume back there. It's like some 20 million. It's like Tom Cruise standing back there in a Stormtrooper costume or something, right?
It's probably one of the princes.
Right, yeah, no doubt, yeah. VTR Dave, thanks for finishing up my song, brother. I appreciate that. And Andy makes a good point here. Have you guys ever seen that meme where the Stormtrooper's standing there and he says, "Did Moff Gideon just tell us to put handcuffs on that little kid? Wait a minute, we have handcuffs for kids? Wait a minute, are we the baddies?" That thing. So yeah, that scene, we didn't touch on it, but they start off with the handcuffs in our hand, and I'm like, wow, how far have we fallen from just trying to make the world a better place? Now we're handcuffing kids as the Empire. That's just, yeah, not good.
Incidentally, Paul, she does also deliver that line, "These people will leave you too."
Too.
Yeah. So that could be her saying, they left Obi-Wan to die. Mm-hmm. But I think that it's more likely that she's saying the Jedi left me behind as well.
And I love that you brought that up, Christian, because they literally, I say that Reva is just like the Inquisitor they had in Fallen Order, and she says the same exact thing to the protagonist. She will betray you too. And she's talking about her master. So yeah, that is a common thing we're seeing here, is some of these Inquisitors, I think, became Inquisitors because they didn't necessarily want to, and they just have a lot of grievances with the people that were supposed to take care of them. Yeah. So, yep. Again, she's just projecting her issues onto Leia.
You guys, this has actually been one of the more, everything's been enlightening listening to you two, but this has actually been one of the more enlightening conversations we've had. It's added so much to these scenes for me. That's a 2. I thought Obi-Wan, but she might mean herself. You guys are awesome. That's a good point. There's Steve-O. It's always good to have Steve-O in the chat.
Hi,
good to see you. And as Evan, I put it up earlier, but Evan totally agrees with you guys. That's good stuff. Kristen, I'd like to go back to you again, because you and I, first of all, you're a filmmaker, but second of all, you and I like to talk about the troopers and the military. Of the stuff that I had a little bit of a hard time with, this was the one that I actually found easiest to deal with. She just intimidates her way through the checkpoint. What good is having the checkpoint? Christian, what did you think of this, and how did it make you feel?
Yeah, so much like yourself, initially I was sort of a little bit frustrated because the likelihood is that this guy would continue to demand C credentials. Otherwise, he would be punished severely, irrespective of rank. However, we are watching a TV program. We need to be able to move this on. It helps us build Tyler up. Of course, at this stage, she has offered to go into the lion's den off her own back. It really builds her up. We saw a lot of her in the last episode. I was left wanting for more. We spoke about her a lot last week. Yeah. This was very much her episode, in my opinion, because she really is built up. She goes into the lion's den, and when she challenges this guy, it's brilliant. It's brilliant writing. And from an actor's perspective, like from her perspective as an actor, watching her face as she's delivering those lines, it's brilliant, because not only does she look convincing, she also looks relatively sort of almost innocent or afraid of what she's saying. And I don't know how she's managed to pull that off, to show both emotions at the same time. But I was trying to watch it, imagining that I didn't know that she's a good guy, and it's kind of impressive the way she delivers those lines. I mean, absolutely go back and watch the scene. It's brilliant, and obviously the sort of the immediate weight shift, the way that this guy, I mean, look at the height of him, the fact that he's in black, he's imposing, and he sort of steps towards her. He is intimidating, and then suddenly it completely shifts, and she is talking him down, and he looks like a little boy that's been smacked, Brilliant.
Yeah. For me, Bailey, I'll go over to you just a second. For me, this made a little bit of sense because it reminds us of what you get having been in the military. If you build an entire military force on fear and punishment, you know what I mean? Because she's able to put the fear of Darth Vader in this guy. You know what I mean? He's like, all right, never mind. Go, you deal with him then. Bailey, did you have any thoughts on this scene? Or did you get anything out of this, or did it bother you?
I loved it. I really did. And, again, this show does a really good job building the anxiety. And I really thought, like, oh, God. Like, I don't think this is going to work. We don't know if her cover's been blown. And, he's really looking at her hard, giving her a hard time. And we just know, like, how important it is for her to get back there, so she can let Obi-Wan inside. The suspense was great. And I just loved, Christian put it beautifully, the way, how she acted that scene. At first you see the clear anxiety, and then like she's able to like turn on that who she was probably, before she changed sides. And I had a laugh from it because it just reminded me of how I am as a teacher sometimes. It was just like, excuse you? Like, why are we even having this conversation? I'm above you. Like, you listen to me. So I enjoyed it.
Right. And of course, the height difference for your kids is probably real too. You probably look up to these 13-year-olds as small as you are. Yeah. Jonathan makes a very good point and encapsulates my thoughts perfectly without getting too specific. The security dude is in charge of a crazy secret base and sees Vaders and Inquisitors frequently. So him being intimidated by a random officer seems a little bit like a stretch, but for me, it's just a minor issue at the end of the day. And I can kind of see how it's, tenured to the real world, for lack of a better way to put it. We're going to get to some stuff, Christian, that I'm like, all right, explain this one to me. But Bailey, I'd like to stick with you on this. Check it out. What we got here, girl?
It's just a callback to the prequels, really, like episode 1, him and Qui-Gon go for a swim, and, his outfit, and I think of Attack of the Clones a lot because of his hair, and just like, his robes are kind of the lighter color that we see. But yeah, it's such a good callback. And again, Fallen Order is just continuing to be like required reading for this show, and this is exactly how they infiltrate the Inquisitor base. They go underwater, they go through the hatch. So I thought of that too, and it's great. I think the show is doing a really good job blending what's been there before into this show. So I'm loving it.
So this happens in the video game too. The Cal Kestis guy enters the same way?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
The same exact way. Yep. And that whole hallway scene with the water is the same too, which is funny because this game takes place 5 years before this happens. And you would think they would have learned, maybe we should put more security in that area or something. Right. But no.
Maybe we should put the stormtrooper on the inside of the door so he can shoot people as they're coming out of the water instead of waiting on the out. Yeah, fair enough. There's Joe Blake Skywalker, one of our regulars. Good to see you. This show really does an excellent job with bringing in new characters. Reva and Tyler, you know what? Like I said, Christian, I'm Team Reva now. So, yeah. So I actually caught this. Jonathan said the scene just prior with an Imperial and a Wookiee-sized long coat. We've never seen an Imperial war before. I thought could be used later. It was just kind of lame. I didn't think it was lame, but I saw that coat and I'm like, they did that for a reason. That's foreshadowing, right, Christian, in the writing in cinematic world?
I don't think I saw that.
Oh, so just as she's approaching the checkpoint where the red-haired dude stops her, an Imperial, a random extra, goes from right to left on the screen wearing this long coat that we've never seen before. And I'm like, yeah, that'll come in handy somehow or another later on. And
right, okay.
Well, Christian, since you're the authority on this, Evan wants to know, do you think we get any real flashbacks? And I'm not sure what he means by real before the end of the series. Christian?
We've 100% already had real flashbacks. The very first episode, we had flashbacks all the way through the prequels. And in this very episode, we've had glimpses of previous sequences from this series. So we've literally covered flashbacks already. I'm kind of hoping that we don't have too many more. And if we do, I wouldn't mind if they're more the sort of nightmare type sequences that we've witnessed so far. Very quick, get the point over and done with, and let's move on.
Yeah, the flashback to tank actually was used well in this episode as opposed to in Boba Fett, where I was like, oh, here comes the back to tank. I'm going to go get a drink. Yeah, so I think we've seen those coats before in other places. JT makes a point. Matt makes a point. Tobias Beckett. And of course, Jonathan, this is probably the cleanest Kenobi's been in a decade for sure. And Steve-O makes a great point as well. If you can swim fully clothed with shoes, you must have the Force. But yeah, this is the first time we saw them in this series. And I thought that was all of it because we hadn't seen them prior. And we've been into Fortress Inquisitoris before. But when they walked by and they made it obvious, I'm like, yeah, here we go. Christian, I'd like to stay with you for a second because when I saw this, I got a kick out of it. I had to pause and go get something. You get a glass of water and laugh for a minute because she says, "Is this supposed to be a staring contest or something?" What did you think of that, Christian?
Brilliant, just brilliant.
Yeah.
This little sequence was wonderful because she sat there, and I don't think that Leia's got any idea of the fact that she might be Force sensitive because she's grown up with this, so she doesn't know that it's any different, and this is how everybody feels. So the fact that she sat there, she literally has somebody sort of leaning towards her with a hand, and she's just staring at her, and that's got to feel a little bit awkward after a few minutes. So I think it's brilliant that she turns around and says, "Is this a staring contest?" Fantastic.
Bailey, what did you think of this scene, ma'am?
Again, this is Princess Leia. Like, I swear, every word that comes, everything she says, I'm like, yep, that's Leia. Yep, that's Leia. Yep, that's Leia. And I do think that is. I was also thinking from her point of view, like, there's someone with their fingers just like practically brushing your face and just staring at you, and you're just like, oh, like that is very awkward after a few seconds. Good for her.
What are you doing, lady? Are we supposed to be? What's going on here? Yeah, I got a kick out of that. Oh man! And of course, somebody mentioned earlier she's inches away from Leia, Darth Vader's daughter. This girl is super Force sensitive and doesn't catch it. Let it go. Just let it go. I'm cool. She's an Inquisitor. That's her job. But whatever. Christian, so we're going to start getting into some of the I'm just going to let it slide situation. So believe it or not, Tala makes it in, and I'm very impressed with how they did that. The first part I could get along with. She's at the console, and she's, like you mentioned earlier, she's very obviously doing something different from everybody else, but they're all like, I don't even want to know. But then this happens, and I'm like, I'm trying to be positive. Christian, please go take this for me.
This is one of those things that happens on screen, and we all know that it's totally unrealistic, but we have to accept that they need to drive the story. Of course, they could have done things differently. The moment that he stepped up, to be honest with you, I thought that this was going to be the whole "come with me," she gets locked up, and they have, everyone's got to deal with this himself somehow. That's how I thought this was going to go. But the fact that he sort of turns around and says, "Come with," he says, "Come with me," and walks behind that little sort of transparent screen whilst everybody else is just sat there minding their own business, sending their emails off, and then she starts beating him up quietly.
Right.
And then she sits back down, picks up her communicator. It's just, are you all right, Ben?
From a military standpoint, I just want to point something out too. He's the same rank as her, and he's ordering her around. They both have 3 red and 1 blue. I get it. It's a positional thing. But yeah, Bailey, did this bother you, or what did you get out of this? I mean, it's cool that she's a badass and can do that, but it was like she's 10 feet behind the other dudes using the consoles who already suspect her.
I just thought it was funny. Maybe every workplace should be like this, there's always that one person in the workplace that you just get so tired of. Maybe that's how it should be done. Like, you know what? Let's take care of this in the back,
Let's just handle business then, okay? We'll see who's through.
It's funny. Like, yeah, I mean, I did think that, the whole she's like a lady, and yeah, there are ladies that could probably knock a guy out, but it's still I thought of that too, but then I let it go, and I'm like, this is pretty funny actually. Yeah, as Christian said, people are just sending their emails and they're just in the back, just yeah, I thought it was funny.
And when I read JT's comment here, I just remember the movie Office Space. Yeah. Who left the dead body back here? Anyone? Okay. Yeah. If we could get this cleaned up, oh my goodness. Let's see here. Evan, I thought this episode was a lot like New Hope. Yeah. So we've talked about that. There's a lot of overall. Well, let's just touch on that right now because I didn't get the overall thoughts from you guys. Bailey, go right back to you. Are you getting an overall New Hope Escape from Death Star vibe in this whole episode?
Absolutely. It's like following it to a T. Yeah. It's brilliant.
Christian, how about you? Did you see it, or are you upset that they kind of
100%. I mean, I loved it. I've got to be honest. I loved it. I love seeing Kenobi sneaking around the hallways. I love this whole knocking out stormtroopers left, right, and town center, dropping them off here and there. That was brilliant.
Yeah, it really is. And we don't have time to talk about it here, but I saw a video that shows how each one of these episodes is mirroring the episode in the trilogies from 1 through 4 so far. And you go back and look at it and you're like, holy crap, that's a good point. Wow. Christian, I'd like to stay with you. I present to you with no words. Check it out, bro.
Awesome. Yeah, this was great, and this happened a few times in this episode where you see Kenobi sort of see someone come around the corner and he sneaks off and he jumps in here and there, and yeah, hearing the sound effects of that. It's a Seeker droid, isn't it? So that's what it's called.
Yeah,
Seeker droid. Yeah. And the sound dynamics of that thing moving around was just fantastic. You know, it feels menacing. And then he gets through that doorway and he hides there and you see the fear on his face, and the way that it sort of looks through, you think, is it going to come through the door or not? You know, what's going to happen next? It's brilliant. This is what I'm talking about. I loved seeing the sneaking around the base. It's great.
Right. It was like Mission Impossible Star Wars. Bum, bum, yeah. It was, yeah. And you're right. As you know, as a geek for the silly things like this, that droid making those noises I was like, oh, this is so cool. Bailey, are we just big nerds, or were you getting like geeked out about this as well, or was it just cool?
No, I loved it, and it echoes so much of what we see Obi-Wan do in A New Hope when he's like, you know, going in the Death Star, like even just a little, like when he uses the Force to like make a noise, you know, like I just thought it was great. I'm like, yes, like I love that stuff. I love seeing parallels like that of like stuff we're gonna see later. This is almost like his training for the Death Star, you know? He's gonna think back on this and be like, I know how to get around here. Like,
you know what? That's a good point, Bailey. Now we understand why he was so calm about the Death Star, because he's like, I already did Fortress Inquisitorius. This will be a knockoff. I got this. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Oh man, Dave makes a good point. You know, some of the most massive technology in the world, they could put some beer pieces on or something. Good point, Dave. Let it go. That's the theme of this episode.
I think they were just trying to do the whole New Hope thing with the, you know.
Yeah, that's exactly my thinking. I think there's a lot of times, and that's what I was saying earlier about the hologram, the map hologram. I feel like there's a lot of times in sort of, I know people don't like it being referred to as sort of modern media, but in modern media there's this temptation to use sort of modern techniques and to show sort of new technology. Whereas in 1977, you know, that sort of big communicator was their idea of what they would be using in the future, and it would be wrong for them not to be using that at this point, because this is before then. So I get what Dave's saying. I totally agree, but there you go. It can't be more advanced.
Yeah. I think Dave was obviously joking, but that's actually a valid point, because I see a lot of real criticism about that. They're like, why don't they have this? Why don't they have that? Matt puts it best, and it goes what you two say, because they didn't have it in A New Hope. And that's brilliant. I like it. Joe Blake Skywalker. So appearances would still matter at this point in the Empire, given how much propaganda they use. Absolutely. And let me make sure I didn't miss. Rolando, though. Yeah, exactly. The no volume out button. Nice throwback to Luke and C-3PO. Yeah, totally. I see all of the parallels here. It just gets worse and worse and worse. Right. Yeah. Well, let's just throw in a trash compactor while we're at it. Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. Bailey, I'd like to go over to you. Well, this is probably the last time we'll talk about this aspect of Reva's character in this episode, but she really goes into detail about identifying with Leia. And I don't think she's lying. I lost stuff when I was younger. What's going on here? Really quick again, what do you think her background is here? And why is she, honestly, I think, relating to Leia before she snaps, of course?
Oh, I think this is definitely, we're getting more and more of her background. I think she is just straight up telling Leia, you know, that I was, you know, probably the same age. I mean, we don't know for sure, but I was the same age as you when, you know, my world started falling apart. I had a droid that was taken from me. You know, the people that I thought would help and protect me were, you know, weren't there. I was on my own. Like, again, she is just kind of like telling Leia, like, that I was you, but, you know, she's still being, you know, it's being covered up by her position right now. But this whole scene just made me, I really thought we were going to get like the full backstory, but no, like it's just a few lines and done. And it just makes me want more of like, God, who are you and what happened to you and how did you get there? I truly believe she did not want to be an Inquisitor. I think this was like a life that she did not choose. And like, you know, I don't think she's happy with where she is. And I think that's just cementing more and more with each conversation is this is not what she wanted for herself. Just like I believe she doesn't want to be the Grand Inquisitor. She wants something else. She has a different motive. And I just can't wait. I hope we have 2 more episodes. So I really hope we get that, you know, full story soon.
Christian, are they gonna, I don't, disappoint's a strong word, but are they gonna leave us hanging on Reva's background, and how much do you think we'll get to know, and what do you think we'll get to know, if at all, in the future here?
Well, before Jonathan Redmond had written this for me and told me there was going to be a second season, I would have told you 100% we were going to see Reva's arc end at the end of this season. But seeing as there is supposedly this season 2, then I think potentially she might go on. It's just whether or not she's going to be in the same position or not. Part of me doesn't want to see her redeem herself and become good, because I think that would be a little bit painful and a little bit difficult for us to all swallow, given what we have seen her do. That being said, Darth Vader at the end of Return of Jedi.
Yeah.
Specifically in that scene, I thought it was great. There was a nice little callback to the first episode where Leia goes up to her mother and she says, "I'm sorry," and then she sort of reaches around to take her droid off of her. So she's using diversionary tactics there. And she uses those exact tactics here. She says, you know, I'm going to tell you what you need, but seeing as we're on the same side, I need to call my dad. And of course, at that point, Reva breaks character. And this is what I'm talking about. She, for me, and I might be reading into this too much, she doesn't break character and become evil. She breaks character almost like an older sister, like, stop being stupid, you know? I don't know. I mean, I will talk about it as the scenes go on, but I think there's more that comes out as well.
You know what? When she did this thing at her face, like, you little, how many times have I done that to one of my little brothers? That's a good point. I'm like, I will kill you. I can't kill you because dad will beat my ass. All right. That's a good point. Yeah. Rick, they want us to hate Reva. Reva wants to be number 1, and in a good way. I hate this character. They're doing a good job of making me want to, not have anything to do with her. And speaking of not wanting to have anything to do with anything, Christian, I'm going to go right back to you because you're my stormtrooper buddy. I have never been more, I don't want to say embarrassed, but more, I felt bad for having stormtrooper paraphernalia in my room than this scene right here. Tell me what's going on in your head as you see this man with this little girl.
Yeah, this was difficult to watch, which I know probably sounds a little bit much, but sitting here, I was sat here with my missus and we were watching it. She's not massively into Star Wars, but she enjoys it, and I think she enjoys it because I enjoy it. And we were both looking at each other like, what are we watching here? There is a little girl literally being dragged to the racks, you know? And I was looking at this thing and I was thinking about when we saw Han Solo being tortured, and then we see Poe Dameron getting tortured in the sequels as well. And I was thinking, you know, what are we about to witness here? Yeah, the way that it built up, it was uncomfortable. It was as uncomfortable as seeing Vader walking through the street, dragging families out of their homes and killing them. You know, it's setting the tone, that's for sure.
Setting the tone. Good point. Bailey, when you saw this, what's going through your headspace, girl?
Oh, I wasn't surprised. And again, this is a callback to the video game. This set is the same as in the game. And I think what this show is doing such a good job of is truly showing how evil the Empire is. And I think there's a lot of discourse in the fandom where even though we know the Empire is based off of, you know, like, I don't know, the Nazis and whatnot, people still like are, you know, kind of gloss over that. But I think this show does a brilliant job of showing like, no, the Empire is evil. They are willing to have handcuffs for pretty much any body of any size, of any age, and they are willing to torture children to get what they want. And we see something else disturbing that they're hiding in that place too. So the Empire is evil, and I think this show does a good job reinforcing that. and kind of eliminates all the excuses that we have seen people give. Like, I have heard the argument many times of, oh, those poor people that, died on the Death Star. It's like, those people know exactly what they're doing and exactly, what that thing is used for. So, yeah, we see stormtroopers have no problem hooking a little girl up to a torture chair. And I think that's good. I think this is something that needs to be seen. Like, yeah, the Empire is not good. And again, like, not that it's horrible. If you like stormtroopers and whatnot, that's good, so long as you don't justify their actions.
I don't have any stormtroopers in my room. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have any of that stuff. JT cracks me up with some of it. JT's got the best jokes on point every episode. The Imperial Daycare did not get good reviews. 0 out of 10 would not recommend. My daughter came back traumatized with poke holes in her head. Oh my God. Oh, what's up? There's Geek Strong. Dino, good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. Bailey, I'm going to stick with you because we are going to play what I call a lightning round here on Paul's Collectibles Obi-Wan Kenobi Breakdown, where we very quickly and very swiftly, and either of you two can jump in, try to decide who each of these Jedi are. So we go, they're strapping her into the rack, and then Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, shows up into this place down below, and he's like, oh my God, this is a tomb. And it was so haunting to see that. Yeah. And they've got a bunch of bodies in what looks like treacle. Like you see the mosquitoes from the those ages. Ember, Ember treacle. Yeah, thank you very much. Either way, so we're gonna play a quick game, and we're not gonna do it with the ones that you can just barely see. So this guy back here, you can't see enough of him. Bailey, who do you think this is, if anybody? What do you think? Or do you care?
Was certain that looks like Quinlan Voss a little bit to me with the dreadlocks. He looks like he has dark skin and again, it's like weird because I can't see, like, Quinlan Voss has the yellow stripe that goes across, but I thought for a second I was kind of like almost shitting myself here, like, oh God, like Obi-Wan's gonna be like, oh my God, that's my buddy, because we had that callback in the previous one is right on the wall, so I'm like, oh, that would be a slap in the face to see, like, well, Quinlan is actually not doing well after all.
Right, Christian, concur or no?
Well, this is difficult for me because I recognize barely any of these people. Bailey is 100% more of an authority on this, but based on the video that you guys dropped at the weekend, I did see this guy and think this looked kind of like it might be him. Agree.
I think this is probably the end of Quinlan Voss right here, and we're not going to see him now. Bailey, start back with you. The guy on the right here, not this guy here. That's he or she's too far away. This Angri. Pablo Jill or different Angri, a lot of people are saying. What say you, my friend?
I don't know.
Okay, that's a proper answer.
I'm going to suck on this game. I'm not going to lie to you because, you collect the figures. You have more people than I collect. So I have no idea.
Christian, any thoughts on who this Angri Jedi is?
I thought it might be the guy that was in episode 2 in the arena. I can't remember the name of the guy, but yeah. Also, just to touch on this, are these guys dead? Because I don't know if they are. If they're dead, then why do we have all these lights and gizmos next to them? Because are they waiting to be reanimated? Is this some sort of a hint that these bodies are being used for things? Yeah, very X-Files, Andy. Absolutely, like. Is this them starting to try and hint that they're meddling with science here to try and figure things out? Like, I don't know. I saw this and I didn't immediately think, oh look, these guys are all dead. I thought these guys are all sort of encased in something.
So, Bailey, I'm going to let you run with this, but Matt makes a good point. Obi-Wan described it as a tomb. I think in the Force he would feel if they were still alive. However, we do have an episode of the Clone Wars with Luminara Unduli. Bailey, go.
Oh, God. Yeah, and Rebels. So there is an episode of Rebels. And I really thought we were going to see her face, actually, in this scene. But there's a episode of Rebels, and it's quite disturbing, actually, where they have Luminara Unduli's body, like her corpse, like in this messed up box like you see here. And she is dead. But to Kanan and Ezra Bridger, they were, they spelt her Force, signature. And so it is like a cruel, and I think this is probably what this is too, is this is like a trap. You know, maybe you could still feel something from these people. Oh, I'm gonna rescue Quinlan Voss, or I'm gonna rescue Luminara, like they thought they did in Rebels. And it's like, no, she's dead. So I was kind of half expecting to see her face in this. So it's, I don't know. It could go either way. I can see this being, you know, they are alive. They're just in a weird, like, you know, like in the Alien movies where they're like in a hypersleep type thing. It could go either way. We know that thanks to the sequels, experimentation, you know, of cloning and what they wanted with Grogu is a thing. So I don't know. It could go either way. It could be a tomb or it could be something else.
Christian jumping the gun, but the three of us think that as well. I think that's Ice Cube Jr.'s wife too. So let's move on. Let's see here. The next Pickled Jedi. This is the only one we're 100% sure that we know who this is, right, Bailey?
Yes. And you know what's sad is I know what he is and what he does, but I don't remember his name.
Joe Blake got you covered.
Thank you.
Terrace the noob.
There you go. Yeah, this was the guy that would, you know, train the younglings and would take them to Ilum to construct their lightsabers, and he's been around for ages. He's probably like Yoda in terms of age.
Christian, you know who this was when you saw it right away, right? Yeah, me neither. Thank God for Bailey. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, wow, that's a weird looking dude. And then Bailey's like, yeah, that dude is in the cartoons. Oh, okay, cool. Christian, I think it was you that said you have an idea what this is supposed to be an homage to. Go, my friend.
Well, I thought this was a bit of a nod to George Lucas because I'm convinced that George Lucas dresses up like this in one of the prequels.
Yeah. Yeah. Bailey, do you think Christian's nuts, or could that just be like an homage to George Lucas?
Oh, I think it very much could be that. And I think this individual here is proof that for some reason they weren't just encapsulating Jedi. They seem to be like, you know, regular people too, who could possibly be force sensitive. Who knows? So yeah, I could see that. I kind of thought that too, because, you know, George Lucas and his daughter, you know, dress as like the Pantoran species in Revenge of the Sith, and that's what I thought of it. They look similar. So again, who knows?
Yeah. And either JT is as old as I am or likes older movies, because yes, when they finally get out of the city, the robot is freezing everybody, and it looks a lot like this scene where they have all those people stuck in the ice.
But in that one still, Paul, on the right hand side there, you've got 3 red lights and then 1 white light. That's a lot of buttons just to turn the light on and off.
Christian, what did we talk about for this episode? We're just going to let it go. This one is all about, you know, who knows? That's a good point. And maybe they're possibly alive a little bit, maybe not. They don't want them to deteriorate, you know, Star Wars technology. I don't know. Got me.
We've all seen Demolition Man.
Yeah, then there's that too, right? Yes, exactly. I like Andy. Hey, I'm Mr. Buckhead. God, give me some cake. Sorry. All right, I'm done. I won't sing anymore. That's a lie. I'll probably sing again. Next one. Okay, this is Genghis Khan Jin. Christian, do you have any idea who you think this might be, or just some random force sensitive they scooped up?
No idea whatsoever. Initially, when I saw him, I thought, "What's Saw Gerrera doing in there?" But it's clearly not.
Bailey, any idea who this is?
No.
Okay, yeah, me neither.
I think I was too busy being just horrified at what we're seeing to like be like, all right, who's this guy? You know.
Right. Hey, Christian, RGB is the thing. Let it go, mate. Let it go. And Matt's got a good point. It's a dimmer switch. They're all 3 on high right now. One light is super dim. I don't know why this is so hard for you, Christian. God, everybody else got it. You know what? That's a good. It could have been a disguise on some of these people. Like they took off their Jedi robes and put on clothes too. You know, Rick thinks they're alive. I don't think they are. And then finally, everybody so far, I think, agrees this is most likely, because we get so close to her, Ice Cube Jr.'s wife. Bailey, what say you?
A lady.
Yeah, it's a lady. Yeah. Ooh.
Oh no, guys, but this is not my game.
Christian, what do you think?
The moment that I saw this person, I didn't recognize them in any way. I don't think they look like a Jedi that I would know of, and I immediately connected the dots that he's talking about the fact that his wife was taken away from him. Here we have a lady suspended. It makes sense from a storytelling point of view. Does this mean it's going to come up again? I would imagine so.
I think that they're doing a brilliant job of leaving some loose ends in case they want to do, because a lot of people are, and it's being said in the chat, are conjecturizing that, yeah, we're going to get a second season, but it may not be so focused on Obi-Wan, if at all even called Obi-Wan. It may be like kind of a spinoff, and we get to see Ice Cube Jr. and his wife gets rescued and a couple of these other people. And so just in case they want to do that, they just kind of drop, these loose ends. Am I crazy, Bailey? Does that sound like something that could be going on?
Oh, no, I think that's definitely something that's possible. I mean, clearly we have like 19 years to like cover, so no. And now that you guys have talked about it, yeah, I feel kind of stupid right now. That makes sense. Like this would be the wife that they mentioned earlier.
What was I going to say? Oh yeah, so Jonathan, I think he means Ice Cubes. He mentioned earlier that his wife was force sensitive, and that's why everybody is, and she was taken away. So I think this is why everybody's guessing this, Jonathan. Oh, and then of course, there we go. There's my brother Alan. Hey, this episode kicked butt. Alan, good to see you. Yeah, and then, you know what? I'm a little, as a helmet collector, I am a little jealous, Christian. All we have is these silly detofs. Andy makes a good point. They have really nice display cases and stuff.
They do, yeah.
Let's see if there's any more Jedi. There's one more. So who is this woman that they abducted from the Apache reservation here? Christian, any idea who this is?
No idea, but look, we've got even more lights on the left-hand side.
No, these have been here every time. You just some of them I cut off.
So you're saying that there's a control panel on each side, even though these people are dead.
Yeah, each one of them has 3 red lights and a white light, and then a white bar and 2 red bars over here on each one of them. Yeah. Thanks for catching up, Alan. We love you to death, but we talked about Ice Cube's son about an hour ago, you guys. Love you, babe. Bailey, who is this this woman they've abducted from the Apache Sitgraves Reservation in northern Arizona?
A poncho enthusiast?
A poncho enthusiast. There you go. You gotta have one poncho on every episode. Oh my goodness. One's for the door. Yeah, one's for the door. There we go. Everybody's just gonna conjecturize. And of course, Andy. She's the dingoes ate my baby lady. Oh yeah, he meant Ice Cube out. I see what you're saying. Yeah, someone said Ice T. And Rick makes a good point. Yeah. Black Series needs to get on it. That's all I got to say. They're not going fast enough. I think that's all the. Oh, actually, Connor makes a good point. That's Muammar Gaddafi. Let's see what that looks like. Yes, good point, Connor. Oh my God, good to see you too, Connor. Let's see where we're at in the pictures here. Oh no. You know what? I can't believe I'm laughing right now, but this one actually kind of hurt. Bailey, is this anyone specific, or is this just a nod to the younglings? What's going on?
I think it's just a nod to the younglings, and it just kind of makes me question, like, okay, like, so were they immediately putting people in amber, like, from the beginning? Because he's so clearly in his training, it's like they just swooped him up from the Order 66, but then it's like, again, why? I thought all the children were just killed. They were instructed to all be killed. So this just left me with more questions than anything else. And again, that's disturbing. The Empire is willing to have a tomb of a child, here petrified forever for God knows what. Yeah.
Dino makes a good point. Definitely a debate for living Jedi for sure, because we have seen that before. Christian, when you saw this youngling, what did you think? Do you know who this is? Who do you think it is?
Well, two things. The first thing is in the last episode, Tala said the Empire were taking younglings, and I said maybe we're going to see something like this later on, or maybe that'll be too dark. Apparently not. We're going to see it, and I haven't bothered checking, but I do wonder if this is one of the kids from the start of the show. It'd be quite easy to go back to the start of the show, check the faces of them, and see if this is one of them. And if it is there some sort of a connection here with Reva? There's so many places this could go.
I really think this scene is the loose ends scene where they could make up and do a whole bunch of other stuff later on for sure. That's a very good point. Andy brings up that this kid doesn't have a hand, and it's hard to see in my screen cap. But I think if you look at his sleeves, they're really long. Like these are down to his knuckles. I think he does have a hand. You can just see it here. But I think his sleeve.
It actually looks like he's in a running pose, to be honest, and I think that's why Bailey said, were they sort of captured, like were they stunned almost and put in amber immediately, because his facial expression looks like he's literally just been frozen in time.
Yeah, he looks shocked. Yeah.
Oh,
There's Brian's action figure reviews. Good to see you, sir. I think this all linked to the big cloning storyline that seemed to have developed slowly in the background in all the shows. That's a good point as well. You know what? This is, at the end of the day, this is actually brilliant, because look at us sitting here conjecturizing and talking and getting into this simply because they threw a couple of bodies and some amber for us. It's awesome. Yeah, Alan, we know you were right. He has 2 stomachs, and that's the general consensus now, that he's coming back because they only killed one of his stomachs. Alan's so proud of himself because he's not a Star Wars fan for the most part. But he's like, 2 stomachs, that'll be the deal. I think you're right, bro. Oh yeah, maybe. Hold on. Whoa, Andy, maybe that's the youngling Reva turned in so she could live. Wow. See, we could just headcanon this for 3 hours. You guys, this one scene. Too bad we got to move on. Yeah, and as I mentioned this earlier, maybe they're like a mosquito from Jurassic Park and they extract DNA to make a theme park of Jedi. Oh, all right, one more and then we'll move on. Evan, I think this is one of the kids at the beginning, and I absolutely think Reva is a part of this. Maybe Reva and the group ran into clones, or maybe Anakin and she turned right then and there, but he didn't. All excellent points. All of these are valid, and I am excited to see, if anything, what they do with this. Let's see where we go next here. Okay, Bailey, I'm not even going to talk. What you got?
This is just so cool. Obi-Wan is back, and just the aesthetics, the lighting, that blue lightsaber coming out, and he's just slicing those guys like butter now. And then you just like, the other stormtrooper is like probably crapping himself right now because he just sees a light and then a thud and then it's dark again and then he's next. I just thought this was so cool, and this is like, yes, Obi-Wan is back moment.
No doubt. Christian, first of all, tell me about what you thought of this scene. But second of all, I keep asking you about cinematography because I know you make movies. Is this beautiful or is this what?
Well, I mean, I used to make videos and films, but yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm excited about this. I mean, I just want to mention that what happens just prior to this.
Please.
Sorry, I keep going on tangents, but the shot you showed before this, obviously, just before the lights go out, before Obi-Wan actually goes in there, we see Reva stood there, and she's about to do whatever she's about to do. We see those arms coming in on Leia, etc., etc. Reva breaks character and she screams, "Say something." And the way she says it, it's almost like she's in tears. Honestly, please, people, go back and watch just that clip. It looks like she's crying as she shouts, "Say something." And then after Leia obviously screams back, she's not going to say anything, or whatever line she delivers. She says, "Then you've made your choice," or "Then your choice is made." And the way she says it, it's almost like, well, this isn't my fault then. I'm exonerated. This is you doing this. Honestly, go back and watch that little clip. It's brilliant. Anyway, moving on. This sequence where those lights go out, awesome. And then we see the lightsaber ignite, the blues, the reds against the black. We know what's coming. This is what we love about Star Wars. And seeing the lightsaber being thrown around like this, and we're seeing Kenobi as we wanted to see him last week. You know, this is what we were hoping to see last week. We're getting it. We're being fed exactly what we want to see. And the way that it's shot, the sparks coming off. And I think, Bailey, you said it in the first episode, there's something about the way that the lightsabers are being shown in this particular series that make them have such weight that I've not seen in Star Wars before, if I'm honest. Like, just there's something about the way that they're designed. Like, that blue is so vivid. It's awesome. Great.
Christian, you can go off on a tangent anytime you want, because some of the stuff you're picking up as far as theories and the in-depth information on Reva is, and I'm not being facetious here, is brilliant. That's a good point. Now that I look back at that scene in my head, she's like, "Say something." I'm like, it didn't make sense to me at the time, but you say that, I'm like, holy, that's a good point. Please go on all the rants you want. So, and I just want to point out one more time, Bailey wasn't sure what he was going to talk about.
That's what they all say.
Yep. So, Bailey, I got a little nervous this episode because you're constantly calling it and you're constantly right. Kenobi gets a hold of Tala and says, "I need a distraction." And I thought, well, there goes Tala. What you got for me, Bailey?
I was just like, wow, Tala's got more balls than I ever will. You know, she's straight up lying to a telepathic murderer. You know, like, I was just expecting this lady could just choke her out with her mind, or just, like one switch of that lightsaber and she's a goner, and she's just straight up lying. I really thought, like, yeah, this is the end of Tala right here, but she lived, and I just really like Tala more and more. Both of these women are just, I don't know, like they're kind of like two sides of the same coin almost, with their audacity.
Yeah.
So I really like, again, the anxiety was high in this. It's just like, oh God, like Tala, how is she gonna get out of this? Because she's just lying.
Yeah.
And like, I just like how intelligent Reva is like, she is not falling for anything, and she was literally be like, you know what, just to make sure you're not bullshitting me, I'm gonna torture you too. Like, that was about to happen too. Like, she's very thorough. Like, these are women who are very good at what they do, and they're just like going at it. It's a kid cat fight, and I do enjoy a good cat fight.
Christian, at one point, Tala looks at Reva, who had Bailey put it best, is a telepathic murderer, and says, "I'll not have my integrity questioned." Come on, man. What did you think of this scene?
I've already said that for me, this is the episode of Tala. This is her story.
Yes.
We are building her up to be some sort of a warrior. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I feel like Reva is fully aware that this is a distraction. She's fully aware that there's some sort of a rescue mission going on. And I think she's actually quite relieved that other officer comes in to interrupt her, because she doesn't want to do what she's about to do to Leia. Because if she did, she would have completely disregarded whoever was coming through that door, and she would have cracked on. So yeah, I feel like she entertains Tala, because Bailey's absolutely right. She's going to know that she's lying. That conversation goes on for way too long. And of course, Tala believes that this is what I'm taking from it. I think that Tala thinks that she is actually convincing Reva that she is, being genuine and all the rest of it. But actually, I think Reva's just playing along entirely because she wants to bide her time, because she's thinking of bigger things. But yeah, more power to Tala. I mean, absolute warrior.
I'll say it again. When she looked at the telepathic murder and said, "I'll not have my integrity questioned," I was like, "Oh, there goes your arms." I wanted to point out something Evan said earlier. We were talking about the youngling, and maybe that's the one that she turned in to Anakin at the time and everything like that, which would explain how Reva knows Anakin is also Vader, because she was there before he got all burned up in the temple. That's an interesting thought, Evan, and I'll be interested to see if we get some more of that, to be honest with you. Christian, here's another one of my suspension of disbelief moments. I'm going to stick with you because we're the trooper guys and we just got to eat it. We love them, but man, she just smacked one of them in the head. Dude, help me out here.
Yeah, I mean, I've already said it. This is one of those things where, like, you're watching it and you're thinking, "Oh, really?" But I think this is just, again, it's about the storytelling. It's about sort of building this character up, and it's about us realizing that, she can deal with this. She's trained. And I mean, yeah, watching the fact that you've got two armed stormtroopers either side of her, if you can sort of step back and believe that she has the skill to do what she does here, it's cool.
Fair enough. Really quick, there's Michael Hendrickson, one of my channel members. It's good to see you. Great you're listening to us on the way home. Drive safely, though, man. I appreciate it. You know what? And Bailey, does this bother you? If you look at the footage and you slow it down like I have to get these screen caps, she's like, on one of the dude's helmets. Help me out. Does this bother you? Or no? Are you cool with it?
I don't think I paid attention too much to it, honestly. I think I was just more like interested in what's happening next to pay attention. But I get what you're saying. It is kind of like, yeah, JT, I don't know. It is kind of funny to me, and I think this show is also like how stupid stormtroopers are, or how they're not much of a threat if you're able to just not slap them real fast and you're good.
Fair enough. Let's touch on this again. Bailey, he's being funny, but he's got a point.
I know. I'm with you, JT. Like, every episode, I'm like, who's gonna die? And I really thought that was gonna be the end of Tala, honestly. But given what Reva does later and what Christian was saying, I think I fully believe you, Christian, that Reva was just playing along and like, be like, okay, you know what, I'll do this.
Really
also, Paul,
yeah.
she grabs the trooper on the left. She grabs the underside of his helmet, doesn't she? And she pushes up. And I'm pretty sure that she grabs like the chin of one of them and like pushes up slightly. And I seem to recall Matt from Universal Collector, who used to troop. I believe he said that one time a woman tried to take his helmet off while he was wearing it, and it was really painful. So I thought that was kind of cool because I can imagine that would be really painful.
So assuming that's a canon thing, Matt is absolutely correct. I have put on my Stormtrooper helmets, and all of them to the last. You have to put them on sideways, and it's called the Trooper Twist, and then twist it forward. So if that's canon in the movies, that's how they seal them, then yeah, just pulling up on it would theoretically work. So that's a good point. And believe it or not, a lot of people are agreeing with that, that this could happen. Look at Rick's like, it works. Try it. Matt's going from the practical standpoint. They're plastic and kind of thin. They look great though. Side note, I would totally support a Tala series, kind of like the Andor thing. That would be cool. But Alan makes a good point. It was kind of cheesecake. It is a helmet, but still it makes it's kind of realistic. There's Fabulous Disaster, everybody. Thank you for joining us, sir. And let's make sure. Yeah. Fabulous Disaster says, yeah, helmets, Max, can stun you. Any person who has slapped many dudes in the helmet, it works. All right, fair enough. I'll just take that. It doesn't hurt as much as being punched without one, but it definitely disorients you. Wow, look at everybody else with the suspension of disbelief helping us out here, guys. I love it.
All these ex-stormtroopers.
Right, exactly right. And then JT puts it best. Why do we even wear this armor? It doesn't help at all. We get shot and we drown in it, which we'll get to later. Oh, and then Andy, of course, have you ever had your ears boxed? Not fun. Yeah. And Andy, if Talia shows up on Andor, I could die a happy man at that point. That'd be awesome. So very good point. Let's move on here before I get Bailey. He's back.
I love this so much. And I really love how he is wielding that lightsaber just like he did in the prequels. I mean, like a baseball bat. I mean, this very much reminded me of that whole episode 2, like the arena where he's just like, going ham. I love this. And again, he looks a lot like how he looked in Attack of the Clones too, with the costume. And this is a man who is finally becoming himself again. Like even the costume, like those look like Jedi robes. It's like he's not even hiding anymore, and he's just wielding that lightsaber no problem. That twirl, yeah. This was very exciting. And again, just the effects they can do with lightsabers now, it just looks so beautiful. It really grabs your attention.
Absolutely. Flex, it's good to see you. Christian, when he did the swirly thing, like Joe Blake is talking about here, I was like, oh, he's back. What'd you think, man?
So cool. So cool. Now, I've got to be honest with you. Initially, when I was seeing all of this, I was thinking, last week he could barely hold his lightsaber. I was sort of like, is this believable? But the difference is 3 foot tall and just to the side there. Last week he was on his own and he was trying to take Vader as far away from Leia as possible. The difference here is Leia is stood right there and he needs to defend her. So he's back. He has to be back. So I thought it was cool. It was awesome to see.
I just thought it was the logical progression, but man, talking about some stimulating motivation standing right next to you there. I got to save this little girl. I got to get it on. That's an excellent point, Christian. Wow. So Christian, Andy says, watching two people have tragic flashbacks while in the back to tank earlier makes me wonder what Luke was dreaming of in ESB. That is interesting. However, I would like to reiterate that your judgment is that those were in fact, Christian?
Flashbacks.
There you have it, Andy. We got flashbacks in the series. Bailey, I'd like to go back over to you because you know more about this video game. I understand that something similar happened 5 years earlier in a video game, correct?
Yeah, exactly. To a T. Anyone who's played Fallen Order, this is like the finale of it, where Vader is just gunning Cal Kestis, and it's similar. The window cracks, and then the whole hallway's flooded with water, and that's how they were able to get away. So you would think, after that, they would learn, like, we should just not do that again, or at least, make these windows stronger or something. But yeah, I saw this and I'm like, oh my god, it's Fallen Order all over again. And I know Matt's Collections has played the game before, and he'll probably echo that too. It's exactly the same, this scene.
Yeah. In relation to this, Christian, I want to go over to you because we keep talking about the stormtroopers. You and I both know, because we've seen it in Rogue One, and canon says so, that their suits are hermetically sealed. They can survive in a vacuum without air and things like that. So explain this to me. How are they drowning?
I mean, I think this is just a visual thing, isn't it? That looks cool. It's visually stimulating to see these stormtroopers, floating around. Kenobi has succeeded. He's got away. He saved the little girl. But yeah, I mean, the pressure, maybe you could argue that. Well, no, you couldn't, because the pressure of space is pretty significant, I hear. So yeah, it's a visual thing. Enjoy it for the magic it's supposed to be.
So to Evan's point, it's not plot armor. It's actually the antithesis of plot. They don't have the armor. That's the problem. So, yeah, they do drown quickly, Johnny. I was like, what the heck is going on here? Oh, and then Alan's like, I think they got knocked out by the force of the water. You remember that's what I said earlier, Christian. Maybe they're just unconscious because the water was. Oh, yeah. And Jonathan, yeah, we know the suits are sealed, but the writers didn't. By the way, Acme made that class for sure. Yeah, and the water hit him in the helmet. Helmet jokes from now on. That's for sure, Andy. Good point. Okay. I'm going to stick with you for a second, Christian, and then I want to get your thoughts on this, Bailey, because we talked a little bit about this earlier. I'm trying to do the suspension of disbelief, Christian, but come on, Scooby-Doo, help me out here.
I really like this. It made me laugh. Made me laugh. I know it sort of bugs you because it is a little bit Scooby-Doo. I don't know if we've seen an Imperial officer with that sort of a scruffy beard at any point either.
Right.
But to be fair, the alarms are going. Everybody's running around all over the place. People aren't paying attention. I can deal with it. And I did get a giggle when Leia looks from underneath the coat. I thought it was fun. And this is supposed to be family entertainment, remember?
Yeah. I'm with Christian there. I had fun. I'm having fun with this, and this made me laugh. I thought it was cute, and I think Leia even peeks out, every so often. It's cute. I mean, yeah, I don't have a problem with it. And this just shows that, what, this fortress is just stupid. Everything about it supposedly indestructible, and you got the Inquisitors that we gotta shut it down. We gotta shut it down, and these people are clearly escaping no problem until Reva shows up, because apparently she's the only competent one in this building.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. You know what? People are saying it in the chats. Let's see here. Matt, it was the concept of becoming the gray man. Obi-Wan is concealed enough for people not to notice him or Leia. So I'm going to disagree because he doesn't even have the high collar. You know what I mean? He's got the scruffy beard. His boots don't match, and he's got a pretty big bulge here. But yeah, that's a very good point. Leia had to come up for air from Ben's body. He's at 10 years in the desert. So, oh my God. Yeah. And then everybody's saying it, four-legged man. It was very Scooby-Doo. It was very silly. And what's this called? That move is called the reverse Dex. Oh, yeah. Because Dex had 4 arms and now he's got 4 legs. I get it, Andy. Dad jokes. All right. I'm going to go with you guys and just go that this was entertaining. And when she looked out, it was cute, even though there's stormtroopers nearly bumping into them and everything. You guys are good people, and both of you are going to heaven for giving this series that much leeway. Kristen, I'm going to go back over to you. I want to talk about this a little bit. So, Purge troopers, yes or no? And if so, yes, what's they're a little different. What's going on here? What do you think?
Yeah, so initially when I saw them, I thought that they were Purge troopers because we obviously saw them in the hallway before it was submerged. But I couldn't, and I still can't quite make out the helmet detail. It does look different. From one of the angles, it looked like a generic stormtrooper head, just in gloss black with red lenses. But I couldn't make it out. And, somebody mentioned earlier, it's obviously there's a lot of dark. Well, this is an all black outfit that's gloss, reflecting an all black background that's gloss.
Yeah.
It's an absolute nightmare to distinguish, but looks cool. And incidentally, the shot before this, that's from the top and then sort of comes down, it looks so good with the line of stormtroopers and her just barking traitor with the lightsaber already drawn. Just great.
Yes. Bailey, I know the troopers and some of this stuff isn't your jam, so I'll just ask just to make sure. Did you have any thoughts on this, or did you notice or even care, like the deco on the Purge troopers?
I just think they look really cool. I mean, like, they look cool.
So here's a little trick, Christian. If you go back to the beginning of the episode, and Bailey, you know how they do the character heads, and there's blue and red lights going across them. One of them is the new Purge Trooper helmet, and you can totally see that it's not the airborne looking helmet that we've been getting. It's like a mishmash of the top of that with like a Vader mask type of thing on it. So IGN, someone said it earlier, IGN is calling these Purge Troopers. I just think they're a different iteration or a different version than the one we got in the figure, or maybe it's been in the video games is what's going on, I think. So yeah. And Rick, yeah, they're new version of Purge Troopers for sure. I think that's what's going on here. And this is the little stuff that I enjoy about these. Oh, there's John Joker. Hey, Paulie, Bailey, and Smugglers Canyon Christian. Stop by to say hi at Rick. No problem, brother. We appreciate you stopping by. Thank you. Yeah, Rick, good mix of Vader, Snow Trooper to make a Purge Trooper. It was pretty cool. Yeah, and fabulous. These are Surge Troopers. Yeah, and the helmets are definitely a little different. Yeah, there you go. We got to come up with new figures to buy. That's probably what that's all about for sure. Oh,
I'm not complaining.
Yeah, and of course here we go again. We could spend hours. There's like a black astromech droid we see at one point. We see a whole bunch of really cool stuff. The boots they're wearing.
We see the Rogue One ground crew, who was one of my favorite trooper designs as well. You know, with the Imperial Gunner type helmet, and he's got the two batons on his backpack.
Yeah, we call them batons over here, but yeah, same thing. You call it a baton, right?
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Same thing.
Same thing, just you pronouncing it correctly, right?
Tomato, potato, potato.
Oh, boy.
Aluminium. That's another favorite, isn't it?
No, it's aluminum, bro. It's all good though. Look at that. Bailey's just like, hey, you guys are idiots. Oh my goodness, Joe Blake. They need to make this whole base of Lego set, man. Bailey, I see you nodding your head. Would you get one of those? It would probably be $500.
Yes.
She said yes. Yeah, yes.
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 Just like my card.
Yeah. Advertisements. That's exactly. Oh my God. And everybody's talking about it. Hasbro may have one in the Black Street as usual. Mike hinted at it, but didn't want to say anything. Yeah. And then Fabulous Disaster. She shot the mouse droid, Bailey. Did you see that?
No.
Oh, yeah. And they're on their way out. They shoot the mouse droid. The little guy's burning up on his head. He's like, ah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Droid. So sorry.
Yeah. JT, I thought they were a little short for Death Troopers. Yeah, they are. Yeah, exactly. They got into the base pretty easy. Typical Star Wars fashion, dress up as Empire or be the Empire either way for sure. Yeah, people are jokingly referring to them as Nerd Troopers right now, but the merch is labeled Purge Troopers. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Christian, I want to go back over to you because once again, this is a toys equipment thing because I just geeked out when I heard, because you hear them first and then you see them. Tell me what's going through your head when this happens.
Just awesome. Absolutely awesome. I mean, we have this in most Star Wars films. We have this moment, don't we, where the guys have their backs to the wall. There is no escape. This is the end. And every time you think to yourself, you know, how are they going to get out of this? Are they going to get captured? And either the Millennium Falcon turns up, an X-Wing flies in, or a Snowspeeder turns up. And I don't know about you guys, but I sit there like a 6-year-old and I smile and it's brilliant. I love it. And seeing these snow speeders was awesome because, you know, I've got one sat upstairs, a toy, not a real one on the roof.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yeah, just so cool seeing them. My only criticism of this, and I kind of hate myself for saying it, is that this shot felt a bit weird because of the size of them and how close they were. You know, like how nimble are they to sort of be able to turn before they hit that wall? But I kind of hate myself for saying that.
Well, you know what? Rick points it out, so I'm going to bring that up and we'll talk about this for just a second. Let me see if I can find it. Yes. So the ones that we got in Empire Strikes Back are different from these because these have like did you see how the lid was opening on it? It opened sideways instead of long ways. So my suggestion Yeah, my suggestion to you, Christian, is that this is an iteration before the ones we use as snow speeders, and these are smaller. Because you'll also notice these hover. Did you see
Right.
that, Christian? Yeah. And I don't think the snow speeders hovered.
Right. Okay. Okay. Fair. I did think they looked small when it's sort of waiting for them to climb on board, but yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. So I think
disregard my criticism.
no, I think your criticism is valid, and that's the way I'm explaining it away because I explained away in my head about 50% of this episode before we came in here. Bailey, Christian and I see you over there nodding off because Christian and I are geeking out on toys again. Were you at least happy to see the speeders in some fashion?
Oh yeah, and you know what's great is I kind of forgot that these people were coming too, because I was sitting there like, oh God, like how are they gonna get out of this one? Like they're totally screwed, and you know Reva is just screaming right behind them, like what are they gonna do? And then they show up, and I was just like Christian, like, oh yay! Like I just have to say, like there's so many of those moments in this show where I'm just like, you know, younger again, and just like, oh yay, like. I was great. And I think that's, again, this show does such a brilliant job of just like keeping that anxiety factor and not knowing what's going to happen next. And it was great. It was great. And I can, you know, those ships are clearly like, it reminded me of those Hoth ships. This show is just doing a brilliant job of just bringing all the things we love together. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. That's good to hear, Bailey, because I know, like I said, sometimes Christian and I get off on left field going, oh, did you see the one stripe on that gun on the side of that ship? That means it's a T-16 instead of a T-12. And I can see you up there going, can we please talk about the plot, you idiots? So that's fair. I appreciate that. Rick said he thinks one of them's a T-47, the other's a T-45. Matt makes a good point. The snow speeders do hover, so that's not something that distinguishes them, Christian, but I think they are an earlier iteration based on the canopy model, which makes them smaller. You'd have nothing to be upset about. I think you're right. They're smaller.
To be fair, earlier on in the episode, they do refer to them as trash transporters or something.
Sewage towers. They're towing sewage, yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. That's how you watch these things. Evan, I swear so many times I've just started clapping and cheering while in my basement watching this alone at 3 a.m. That's, ladies and gentlemen, how you enjoy Star Wars.
What's a basement, Paul? What's a basement? We don't have those out here in Tatooine.
So in Arizona, I understand that in some parts of the country they dig a hole in the ground before they put the house in there and make a room out of it. Or I don't know what that is either, Bailey. That's what I hear. So yeah. And yeah, Rick makes a good point. They talk about in Empire Strikes Back how they were modifying them to work in the snow. And that must have meant that they were, new canopies and some other stuff. So all very good points. It's the little stuff like that I see in these that I like to compare to the old movies that gives me a kick. Bailey, you're up, sister. The boss is mad. What you got?
I love this scene. I have to say, if I was even in acting, if I was that actress on a harness being yanked back and there's a 7-foot monster coming for me, I would need a new costume. Wow. They are really doing a brilliant job making Vader like terrifying. I mean, just the way he the way he's delivering his lines and just like going for it and just like the sharp head turns. I'm like I'm like safe in my living room, behind the screen, and I'm just like, oh God, he's scary. But I loved it, and I really thought this was kind of the end of Reva, kind of like how I thought previously that was going to be the end of Tala, because he's like, you knew what was going to happen if you failed. And what I really like about Reva in this is you would think she would say, I put the tracker on them first before saying I let them go. Like, I thought that was incredibly ballsy of her to say, like, you're being held by the throat, and you like admitting like, yeah, I let them go. Yikes. I was like, I thought that'd be it. But no, he let her keep talking. And one thing I want to point out that I saw like not too long ago on a video is like, I don't know if you guys ever noticed just how Vader, like his hand, like when he chokes people, like he does like the 2-finger a lot in the Rogue One and the original trilogy, and he's doing it here. And that's like he doesn't want to necessarily kill them yet because like he learned his lesson in Revenge of the Sith. He used like his whole fist with Padme, and that like killed her. And I think he did that in Rogue One too, when he's going at it with the rebels. Like he used his whole fist to like kill them. Yeah. So that is a cool little motif that he learned, from Padme. Like if I want to like terrorize somebody, I'm gonna do the pinch. And we see Luke do that later at Mando, like when he's crushing those, like it's like he's using the full fist. So I thought that fist was gonna close on her when she said, "I let them go." And so yeah, brilliant. I love this scene. And again, I'm so done with the other Inquisitors, guys. I'm so done. The fifth brother just needs to go away. He's such a clown in Rebels, and he's just sitting there hissing and being all mad. This reminds me of, like, you know, if anybody has siblings and, you know, like somebody did something and dad's coming home and like he's like, "Oh, this," and like the siblings over there is like, "Well, she did it. Oh, you didn't punish her enough." Like, That's what that whole thing reminds me of. I'm so done. You got the fifth brother who's annoying. I'm sorry, he's useless, and he's useless later in the future. He needs to just shut up, you know, hiss somewhere else. I don't care. And then you got the other Inquisitor who just, she exists. Like, that's it. She doesn't do nothing. These people do absolutely nothing. And I'm so tired of this whole, like, Reva needs to be punished, but Reva gets stuff done. It's stupid. But yeah, the Vader and Reva dynamic continues to be very interesting, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Christian, I'm going to go to, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. But she almost destroyed the base. Oh, shut up. Christian, I'm going to go to you in a second, but I want to point something out here. Having my brother in the chat reminds me of things that happened when we were kids. Alan is the youngest, so he was a baby by the time I was 10. And when he started talking, he had a few phrases he would use. And every time my mother would say something, you know, what happened here, all Alan would ever say was, Poe did it. Poe did it. So that's what the fifth brother is like. Reba did it. Reba did it. You know what I mean? So thanks, Alan, for yeah. I'm telling on you when Daddy gets home. Mm-hmm. Christian, I have never seen Darth Vader move so fast in my life. When he was coming down that hallway, it shocked me, and I thought for sure Reva was going into pieces. What do you got about this scene, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, this was a really cool sequence of scenes. So immediately prior to this, obviously, we see that snow speeder or hover speeder, whatever we want to call it. We see that vehicle get blown up and obviously fall into the water. And then we have this shot from the back looking at Reva stood there with the lightsaber still ignited, which is kind of surprising because most of the time they disengage once the fight is over. But she seems to leave hers going for quite a long time. And then slowly everybody walks away from her. So, like, first of all, the fifth brother walks off after scowling at him, at her like a child. And then all of the stormtroopers walk away, but she remains stood there in that stature looking off into the distance, which says a lot in itself. Immediately then we go to that hallway shot, which for me, that shot felt even more intimidating than the Rogue One hallway, because the camera was sort of handheld and doing this, and Vader is coming for you. And it is intimidating to watch. The music's intense and all the rest of it. And the way that he just storms in there and picks her up. I mean, I thought that was game over for Reva. I didn't think she was going to get to say anything. And yeah, as soon as she admitted to letting them go, I thought, right, here comes the story. But she's still remaining in character. You know, she had her reasons for doing it, etc., etc. Yeah, I thought it was great. It's great storytelling, because as soon as we think that something's going to happen, something else happens. And we've said that every single episode.
Yep. Christian, stick with you. Quick question. We've had a lot of conjecture about what Reva's motivations are. Like, she's playing the two ends against the middle because she's trying to get at Vader or something. Has what we've seen in this episode and this scene specifically changed your mind about what her motivations may be?
I honestly still don't know what motivates her. I stand by what I thought last week. I think that this episode echoes my thoughts on this. You know, she has been wronged by the Jedi, but I think that she has serious hatred for both Kenobi and Darth Vader. In this scene, once Vader drops her, look at the way she looks at Vader. That's not fearful, that's disdain. You know, she can barely even bring herself to look at him, and that's not out of fear, that's out of disgust. I'm intrigued. I want to know where this is going.
Bailey?
I think Reva is doing the whole, like, keep your enemies closer. Like, I think she wants to like Vader. I really do. I feel like she and Anakin might have crossed paths when he was Vader, and I think she has a lot of resentment towards. So I think she's doing this to get close enough to, like, kind of end him himself. And, like, maybe she resents Kenobi because she knows Obi-Wan was, you know, his teacher. So I think that's what it is she's trying to get her enemies real close, because it is very clear, like Christian says, she does not want to be his friend. She's disgusted. I think she does not care about what the Inquisitorius stands for. She wants to like get close enough to kill him. I'm on that ship.
She reminds me of a woman who is angry at a lot of people for a lot of probably very good reasons. And I hope we get to see the culmination of that in this series. That'd be awesome. Yeah. But like I said earlier, much better character than in the first 2 episodes where she was almost clown-like with all the parkour and everything. But so much better. G-Force, welcome back, my friend. I hope the accident wasn't you. I'm assuming you had to get around one. So yeah, I hope you're okay. And I'm pretty sure you mean you had to get around one to get back. But thanks for coming back, brother. Bailey, I want to stick with you. We're winding down here, but we get kind of the final scene here. And you know what? I used to be such a hard, cold-hearted person. Maybe it's age, maybe it's alcohol, but some of these scenes just kind of, I know, Christian, right? Some of these scenes just kind of get to me. And this was one of them. Tell me what you thought about this and what's going on here and how you felt.
I thought this was just a very sweet moment. And I know Christian has some very sweet comments in regards to this scene. But to me, this was like very much cementing like that, Leia and Obi-Wan are, close and friends. Like this is definitely a thank you, like her way of saying thank you, and Obi-Wan being, just, I don't know, at peace. Like this was definitely a moment where even though like horrible things just went down and they just lost one of those poor people that came to help them, that this is like their moment of peace. And I'll let Christian kind of continue with his comments on this scene because it's very sweet.
Yeah, I just thought this was really touching because Leia is sat there, Kenobi is sat there. Once again, he is processing because what has he gone through in the last few days, And the way that Leia sort of reaches over and puts her hand on his, it's a complete role reversal. And then she takes his hand and puts it on her lap. That's an adult thing to do for a child, It's a really beautiful moment. And then the really wonderful bookend to the scene is the symmetry. We go to a sort of wide shot where you have Leia comforting Kenobi, and then on the right-hand side we have Tala comforting the wounded pilot. I can't remember her name, but it's just a beautiful moment of symmetry, with both parties sort of comforting one another. And I thought it was a really nice way of ending it, and it kind of reminded me of the end of A New Hope, when it is an end of A New Hope when they're gazing out of the window, isn't it? That is
Empire
right.
Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back, sorry. When they're gazing out the window, that sort of moment of calm and trying to sort of process what has happened and what is going to happen.
Excellent way to put it. Excellent way to put it, you guys. Yeah, this and of course, then they contrast it with like that fear of and dread right at the end because the little droid comes back to life, but it's red and it's tracking them. So I got a kick out of this, or not a kick. I really enjoyed like this moment of seriousness at the end here because you make a good point, Christian. What has Kenobi been through? Like, first of all, in his life, but like the last 10 years, and now to see all these Jedi and poor, God bless Wade, rip, the poor guy got, blown away and thrown into the river outside the Fortress Inquisitorius. This was just a great way to wrap it up. And I want to point out one thing about the tracker. So in A New Hope, I think it's Darth Vader's idea to track the Millennium Falcon and let them go. And now we know where he got the idea. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think that's pretty cool. So Alan makes a very good point about Reva's motives. He's pretty sure that it won't be long before she reveals her motives. That's some Taylor family humor right there, Bailey. Thanks, Alan. I appreciate it. Let's see what Evan says here. I think her being disgusted of Vader maybe because Anakin killed her fellow younglings and she mainly turned out of fear so she would live. Yeah, I think what you guys are saying is right along that line. Kristen, I see you nodding your head, yeah?
Yeah, completely agree. I really hope that we find out her motives. In films and TV, sometimes I like things to be left to mystery, but there's so much to question about her that I want to know more.
Yes. Bailey?
Yeah.
Same? Yeah. Joe Blake. I actually felt sorry for the guy who died, even though we didn't know him, since a show did an amazing job showing how he saved the day and then died for. They're doing a better job of one of you guys said that earlier. They're doing a better job of making us care for the characters, because I actually felt a little bad for poor Wade, and I barely knew him. Bailey?
Oh yeah, I definitely felt that, and this show is again doing a brilliant job making people who just show up just for a split second make me care. These people, they knew it was kind of a suicide mission, because the ships they have aren't made for combat, so it was a risk to begin with. And it was one of those, they were so close, to getting in, the way that guy went down. And it just reminded me, it was just such a sad, and I think they made a statement they're not soldiers, and then Talos says, afterwards, well, now you guys are soldiers, which reminded me of a episode of the Clone Wars where Ahsoka learns that the hard way too. She leads a squadron on her own, and a lot of clones died from her decision making, and that was a way to learn okay, I'm a soldier, sometimes bad things happen. And so I thought that was a very you really feel for the guy, and just the expression on these people's faces, that scene where they're well, where's Wade? And it's just silent. And yeah, I've definitely, a brilliant job on everyone's part there to make me feel for this person that I meet for a second.
Christian, is that good writing, or is something else going on, or a combination? What do you think?
I think it's great writing. I mean, it's so difficult, because I think when we watch these things, it's so difficult not to critique things based on other things that we've seen. Because when I saw them get back to the base and is it O'Shea Jackson? I don't want to keep saying Ice Cube's son.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Sure it's O'Shea Jackson. But yeah, he comes back and he says, what's happened to Wade? And then there's this moment, and she just looks at him and all the rest of it. And initially I was thinking, oh, this is played out to death. We see this all the time. But in reality, we need to forget about everything else we've seen. And you need to realize that, exactly as Bailey just said, these guys aren't soldiers. They haven't ever gone through this sort of thing before. At least we don't think they have. And so witnessing a close friend gone in an instant like that, after doing something like this, yeah, you're probably going to want to take a couple of minutes, and I think that as an audience, sometimes, certainly I need to check myself, rather than being oh, this is done a lot and all the rest of it. It's we need to think about the context.
Agree. That's a good point, Christian. Yeah. All I know is I actually care about characters way more than I did in other series, which I'm much happier about this time, which I'm so glad we got this. I keep saying it. So, but yeah, Rick, I guess we're soldiers now. You know what else that reminded me of? K2SO. Well, you're a rebel now. You remember in Rogue One. So a lot of parallels. It rhymes, as Lucas says. But yeah, great episode, you guys. So in a minute, we're going to do I'm going to get your guys' number ratings. But if you've been in in the comments with us the whole time, I greatly appreciate it. Once again, the chat has helped really drive the conversation. You guys are awesome. We're so lucky that people will come and watch us do this and participate. So thank you very much. But I'm going to ask these guys to give me their number rating for this episode and this episode only. If you'd like to play along in the chat, give me a 1 to 10. And especially if it's really high or really low, you kind of want to let us know why. We'd love to hear and discuss some of that. So Bailey, I'm going to start with you this time, ma'am. This episode and this episode only, where are you at on a 1 to 10 scale?
I might be a terrible critic this time around, with this show, but I'm sorry. I'm enjoying myself too much. I'm going to give it another 10. There's not a thing in these episodes that I have been disappointed in. I think it's just nitpicky if you start getting into it. I'm enjoying it. I'm engaged from start to finish. I have those moments where I feel like a child again and going ee! And then I'm laughing. The suspense, and just I'm loving this show, guys. And maybe I'm biased, and maybe I'm not being fair, and maybe I should have a rubric or something. But I love it. I love this show. It's giving me everything I want, and so it's a 10. And that's just me being honest. I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying the ride, and I'm gonna maintain that attitude.
Good for you. So Bailey, last week was a 10. This week was a 10, which is a cumulative 20, which is more points than you gave the entire Book of Boba Fett series, just so you know.
Well, that's not a surprise, isn't it?
Right. I love it. I'm so glad you're having fun. Christian, over to you, my friend. Where are you at? 1 to 10 on this one, sir?
I'm going to stick with 9.5. Now, the reason I'm sticking with 9.5 is because for everything that I was going to knock down, which was there was a lot of disbelief. There was a lot of moments that I had to tell myself, okay, well. But for every time I did that, there was a moment of either beauty or excitement or wonder. So I'm going to sit at 9.5.
I think that's very fair. And you make a good point. Every time I was like, all right, Scooby-Doo with the four-legged man, right after that, there was something traumatic or, or that really hit you or was very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very emotional. So they would, at least they didn't keep us there, that we would drop for a second. Haha, that's cute. And then we go right back up to my goodness. So I agree with you guys. Both of those ratings are valid. Very cool. Good for you guys. I'm glad you're enjoying it because I am too. Let's go over to the chat and see what we got here, you guys. Oh, it jumped 100. Freaking, I hate it when it does that. Anybody that runs this thing knows what I'm talking about. You go to scroll, it just jumps 400. There's Rick with the 8.5. Not bad at all. Oh, G. Lopez, I saw you earlier. Thanks for dropping in. I appreciate it. That's a beautiful icon, by the way. 7.5, not bad. G-Force, 8.8. That's a little nod for you there, Bailey. Connor with a 9. Yes, there you go. Alan with a 9. This was such a fun episode. And you know what? Yeah, when we talked about this, you guys, if you just release your brain for a second, just have fun with like the Scooby-Doo exit. It is fun. I'll give you that. So that's a good point, Alan. There you go. Matt, 9.5. This whole series is awesome. Once again, Bailey, your rating is higher than Matt's. The world is on its head. I don't know what's going on here. What are we going to do?
People are surprised. Like, this is my jam. What did you expect?
Exactly. I just think, we took a lot of heat over the Book of Boba Fett thing, but I stand by your decisions and my decisions. Evan, 8.5. Great episode, but it loses the 1.5 because it wasn't that new and basically a new hope. Yeah, and we might have to do an episode where we just go back and compare them to each of the movies that they're paralleling to, because I got super Death Star vibes off of this as well. Didn't bother. And Matt also never gives a 10. JT, 11, no messing. There you go. Wow.
Thank you, JT.
Yes. Wow, there we go. J squared, 9.5 out of 10, just because it was a short episode. That 38 minutes went by like that. It really did. Good point. Flex. 8.75. I'll take it. There you go. Right. Yeah. Who are you and what have you done with Bailey? You know what, though? In Bailey's defense, I think if they give us a good product, you'll get to see another side of Bailey, but we keep it real.
I think you guys are as Luminar would say, you misjudged me. I am very easy to please. I mean, I won't get into it, but yeah, I'm amazed that you guys are so shocked. I'm a nice lady,
I agree. I get to see you in real life, though. It's not just, talking about Star Wars series all the time. Jonathan, I'm interested to see this one because he's been at 6. So let's see, 8. Always good seeing more Imperial bases in live action. Don't get the filler episode complaints people had with this episode. We didn't even bring that up. A lot of people are saying this is just filler. Totally disagree. Christian, did this feel like a filler episode to you?
No, I mean, to be honest, I try to avoid spoilers and videos and reactions and things until after we've done this, because I want to give you guys my honest, personal opinion. And it's very difficult when you watch other people's things not to take on board what they're saying. So I just try to circumnavigate it. Yeah, I did see a few videos with titles saying, this filler episode. I think, I can't remember who, but somebody did a reaction to people's reactions saying it wasn't that bad. And I sort of went into it thinking, what am I going to see here? And I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean, I've just talked it through. I thought there were moments in this that were genius. It's great storytelling. I'm excited for the next episode. I don't know. I mean, each to their own. I'm not the kind of person that says, you're wrong for not liking something. Of course, we all have different tastes. But yeah, I think it's a real shame to just sort of carpet something in this way. That being said, I had some pretty strong opinions of Book of Boba Fett. Some people love that show.
Exactly.
I just don't know why we can't just enjoy things. It's almost like we're not. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I agree with you too, and Jonathan. I was going into this because I saw a little bit of it before I saw the episode. Like, filler. Oh, okay. I didn't get just filler. I mean, there was a direct mission, character development, plot advancement on all of this. So I agree with you, Jonathan. This was not filler. Joe Big Skywalker, 10, because the plot and the character development material are so great. What were we just saying? I just can't care about the smaller flaws. Yeah, and they're kind of comical, actually. You guys have a point. Not even the originals are perfect, but I'm here for the story. Absolutely. Matt makes an excellent point, Christian. You took a 0.5 off for the light switches on the amber cells. Oh, let's see here. Steve-O 8, but could have been a 9 if it were longer than a half hour. Yeah, that was a lot of people were giving it that. Michael, also a 10. Oh, by the way, it's good to see you, Michael. And I know I'm late, but who was the dead Jedi in the fort? We kind of went over it. We're only absolutely sure on one of them, Cyranu or something like that. The rest of them go back. It's all just conjecture. One of them we think might be, what's Yellow Stripe's name, Bailey?
Quinlan Voss.
Quinlan Voss. Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. Phil, it would have been an episode where they game plan for the whole episode and not show it. Matt, we're not going to talk about Book of Boba Fett. I love you, but I'm not even going to bring that up anymore. All righty. So we're going to start winding down here, but you guys know how I do. Christian, before I end the episode, I always like to make sure you get a chance to say everything you wanted to say, complain about anything you wanted to complain about, or call out somebody in the comments who's just been annoying you. You got anything else, my friend?
No, I've not got any issue with anyone in the comments at all. It's been great hearing people's thoughts. I said it in fact, I think I've said it every week. I love listening to you guys talking. I love hearing people's thoughts on everything, because it just helps. It helps the overall experience. You know, we're all watching the same thing, and yet we're all taking something different away from it, and that's cool. And it's great to vibe off like-minded people. As far as where we're going is concerned, I have no idea. I'm really excited for next week, because everybody is safe now, technically. You know, Leia is safe. So does that mean she's going straight back to Alderaan and we're going to go back to Tatooine? Or is Kenobi going to be taking on Vader head on? Or is Reva going to, catch up with them on their way to Alderaan? I'm excited. Where is this going?
Absolutely. Bailey, I love Christian's enthusiasm. He's been a blast having him on here. You got any last thoughts, anything you wanted to get out before I start winding us down, ma'am?
No, I think that's everything. It's just every week, guys. I'm loving the show, and I'm loving getting on camera with all of you to discuss it. Just like Tristan, talking to you guys really helps me understand. You guys pick up on things that I'm like, oh wow, I didn't catch that. It's just so nice, and this is such a nice opportunity to just do this with y'all. So no, I'm happy, and I just can't wait to see what's next.
Agree. You guys really, I like the episodes, but you really helped me talk through some of the stuff. And then the two of you keep saying you guys, Bailey, but I know you mean the chat and Christian, because I'm just like, cool, TIE fighters, you know what I mean? And you really helped me get through some of the stuff where I'm like, okay, she into his helmet, Christian, for God's sakes. But thank you for that. I appreciate it, you too. With that, you have been watching the Obi-Wan Kenobi breakdown. We've just been talking about part 4. This has been a roller coaster ride from the beginning, and it's been a blast. We're here at noon Pacific, 8 p.m. UK every Thursday. We got 2 more episodes to go. I got Bailey. I got Christian. We're going to come back next Thursday and talk about episode 5. If you've been with us in the comments the entire time, I cannot begin to tell you how greatly I appreciate it. And as you hear these two say, it really rounds out the conversation. And I feel like it's more than just the 3 of us here, and I appreciate it. If you're catching us on the replay, thank you as well. That's, first of all, I got a lot of patience. And second of all, thank you. And if you have anything you'd like to add, please throw it in the comments below. I respond to everything, and I know these guys are reading them. So it is awesome. Let's go over to the chat real quick, you guys, and see everybody off here. Wow. Here we go again. JT, you are awesome. Thank you, Bailey, Paul, Christian, and chat. Fantastic ideas and insight. Appreciate that. Yeah, Jonathan, Christian. Oh, she always arrives first. Steve-O, great show, great chat. You all, thank you so much, man. Connor, thank you for your help once again. Luckily, it's been kind of tame in the chat, so you haven't had to do much, but another fantastic conversation with a brilliant panel and awesome chat. Long live our love of Star Wars. Absolutely. Alan, thank you so much for dropping in. I appreciate it. It's always fun to have you. G-Force started with us, drove past the accident, and got back in with us. That's dedication right there. That's what I'm talking about. Jonathan, I always love having you as well. Everybody in the chat, but Jonathan sometimes comes up with some great stuff. Matt, thank you so much, sir. Great stream. You know I love to give you a hard time. You got a great sense of humor about it. Thank you. Evan, it's good to have you. If you have been in a chat before and I don't remember, it's because I'm old and stupid, so I apologize. If not, thanks for joining us this time. We look forward to seeing you on some more. Hoppy, you know I love having you. Thank you so much. And you know what? I'm going to end with one of my favorite people on the internet. Calm, cool, collected, and smooth. Dave over at Vintage Toy Rush. He puts it best. Till next time. But with that, you guys, you know how we do. We'll see you on the next episode.